Gotta love that song. A little bit of Mac Miller there. If you know that song, that's a little bit of Dang featuring Anderson .Paak. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us this evening. Beautiful night here in Las Vegas, man. Weather is nice. I'm your host, Jose V. This is another episode of Straight Bet Sports, coming to you live from the sports and entertainment capital of the world, none other than Las Vegas, Nevada. Even though we are broadcasting from downtown Las Vegas, same exact spot. Got Rob G in front of me. Co-host as always, getting ready. Got his computer set up. Got a new segment for him today. We're going to introduce you guys to that here shortly. Rob, how's your night going, my man?
Good.
Ready for tonight?
Yeah, ready.
Got a lot to talk about?
Yeah, a little bit.
Dodgers let you down tonight, but it's all right. It's going to be a good series.
Yeah, it's going 7.
We'll see. I said that earlier in the week. I thought the Dodgers would win, and it would go 7, so we'll definitely talk about that. We got a good show lined up for you guys tonight. We got Sam Gordon of the Las Vegas Review-Journal joining us via Skype. He was at the Teofimo López Lomachenko super fight this past weekend at the MGM Grand Garden, Las Vegas. Interesting fight, man. Some people had it a draw. Some people said it was all the way for López. I thought López won. Not as close or as lopsided as people thought it was, but we'll get Sam's thoughts on that. He was ringside. Should be interesting to see what he thinks about the fight and what he sees moving forward with these two fighters as well. Big Game James behind the big board, producing the show, doing what you do as always, my man. Thank you so much. We twinsies on the hat tonight. People can't see, but we both got the LA Lakers championship hats on. How's your night going today?
Night's going well, man. You know what I'm saying? I was happy when mine came in the mail, so I had to rock it immediately.
Perfect. Rocked it at the same time, man. Sounds good. Not only that, we're going to talk about the dominance of the Dodgers in Game 1. We're also going to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Is it 2 a time? It's all over the place. If you've seen it, is it a good move? Is it not? We're going to talk about that. And we got a new segment for you guys tonight as well. It's called The Opening Line with Rob G. Rob likes to get into the lines of what he sees, what he means by that as the world opens, where the lines are at, what he thinks is interesting that you might want to take a look at to bet on. We'll jump into that. And, of course, our main segment of the night where we get into our sports betting, where we break down the lines of the NFL, let you know what we see, what we like, where we think some of these games are going to go, and then we'll break it down with our final picks of the night. Tonight, we're going to go for an hour and a half, though. We got an extra half hour sponsored by the American Outlaws tonight, so that's fun, man. We're going to break into that. But with that being said, I'm your host, Jose V. This is another episode of Straight Bet Sports. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the Gorilla Cross app. We are streaming live on every single platform that you heard as of right now. If you don't catch it now, you want to catch it later, hop on those same platforms. You can rewatch the show all over again. If not, if you want the audio, on all digital platforms as well, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you want to watch, and especially the Gorilla Cross app. Download it right now on your app store. If not, go to gorillacross.com. Simple as that. But if you want to give us a call after our first guest later to talk about anything that we may be talking about, the studio number is 702-608-3259. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our starting lineup of the night, which we basically already got into it. We could play the music if you want. Let's go ahead and do that. Fun show. 2 a time in Miami. Is it right? Is it wrong? I have a lot to say about it. I know you do too. We were talking about that earlier. So
yes,
that's
sir.
One of the things we're going to talk about. Also, like we said, Sam Gordon talking Lomachenko López. That's going to be interesting. Dodgers lose Game 2 today, but they were dominant in Game 1 with Clayton Kershaw. We're going to get into it with that. And I hope you guys like our pick segment because we're trying to do something different. The name of the show is Straight Bet Sports. We don't talk betting all the time, but we got to get into it from time to time. So it's going to be a fun show tonight.
Every time.
Every single time. But with that being said, let's let you guys know who we are being brought to you by tonight. As we are every single Wednesday night here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network, we are being brought to you by Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate, a realtor here to help educate current and future Las Vegas locals on selling and investing in real estate. I know you're probably asking yourself, educate. Well, yes, trust me, there's a lot of amount of adults that when it comes to real estate, don't know the right questions to ask, don't know where to start, and think they need a lot of cash to buy a house here in Nevada, which simply isn't true. So Josh has decided to make it his responsibility to teach his clients what they need to ask to help ensure making their home ownership dreams a reality. So make sure you call or text Joshua LaFon today at 702-813-0533. This has been another paid advertisement by Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate. And like I said, today we are going an extra half hour, so I gotta let you guys know who made that possible. Tonight, Brian Alaman of the the American Outlaws Las Vegas chapter has made it possible for us to extend our show for an extra half hour. The American Outlaws dedicates itself to organize passionate and enthusiastic support for our men's, women's, and youth national soccer teams wherever and whenever they take the field. They unite and strengthen through their network of local chapters to build community, host watch parties, and other events, and mobilize for charitable works. Find them on all things social media at Facebook on AO Las Vegas, IG at Vegas_Los Outlaws, Twitter AO_Las Vegas, and their website AOLasVegas.com. For any more sponsorship information, check out the American Outlaws Las Vegas chapter today. So we paid the bills. We got that out of the way, Rob. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready to talk some boxing? Because you said that you watched the fight.
I watched the whole fight.
You saw the whole fight. There you go, Rob. Your favorite view. We got the sky cam view here.
Sorry, I'm always moving. I'm sorry, James.
I'm
always moving, man. I gotta stay still.
But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it with our first guest of the night. This gentleman right here, I met him when we started covering the WNBA with the Las Vegas Aces Media Day when they first got out here. Minnesota kid, none other than Sam Gordon of the Las Vegas Review-Journal joining us tonight. Sam, how's it going, brother? Greatly appreciate you joining us tonight.
Rob, how you doing? Appreciate you guys having me. Pleasure to be here. Excited to talk a little bit of boxing with you guys. Definitely a big weekend for boxing and for Las Vegas.
So you called it. You were there. You saw the event. You got to cover the event. But before we get into the actual match and the boxing itself, talk about the protocols and everything leading up to the actual event for the media on how it was with the COVID testing and things of that nature. Now that it's different, it's not just a regular media event anymore.
Yeah, for sure, Jose. Top rank, it was capped, right? There wasn't a packed house. There was no tickets on sale. There was a very, very sparse crowd of 250 people. And as a result, they were really prudent. I got into the MGM Grand on Thursday night. I went straight to the 12th floor where they're set up, where they have testing. You walk right into a room, you get your test, and then you go straight up to your hotel room. So that's what I did. And really, outside of my meals and then the weigh-ins and the fight itself, I was hanging out in my hotel room the entire time. So that's kind of the format, from my understanding, that's the format that they've been using throughout the course of the bubbles. They've been having fights there in June. It's very, very effective. There was limited contact with anybody. And if I was in close contact with anybody, they had been tested. The participants, the fighters, fight camps, promoters, refs, those involved directly with the fights are tested every single day. And then us media were just tested the one time right away before we were allowed to do anything. Fortunately, I tested negative, which allowed me to cover the fight on Saturday night. But kudos to Top Rank. It was a first-class production. All the way around, that's what they're known for. They've been doing it a long time. They've been in this business for a really long time, and you can see that this was a model for other combat sports, and I imagine even the NBA to some degree. Of course, that's a much larger scale, but Top Rank was the first sport, boxing, getting boxing back there, the first promotion to do that, and you can see why the bubble I thought was very, very, very effective and a good way to contain and mitigate the spread of the virus.
Sam Gordon of the Las Vegas Review-Journal joining us here on Straight Bet Sports. Sam, talk about how it also affected you as a media person. And what I mean by that, how does that affect your mental? You're there from Thursday and the fight's not till Saturday and you're basically quarantined. What do you do during these situations to keep yourself focused on the task at hand and knowing that you still have to cover this event?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a little mundane. I worked, did my writing most of the time while I was there, and if not, I was just kind of hanging out in my room watching TV or watching Netflix or whatever you want to call it. I can see how challenging it would be, right? If you're an athlete and you're in that environment, all I can think about was, the NBA guys doing that for 3-4 months. Now, granted, they had the campus and access to the golf course and different things, but the idea of knowing that you're stuck in one space and you can't leave, and there are very strict rules, even just for the 36 to 48 hours I was there was definitely challenging. Not the end of the world per se, but something I had to kind of adjust to and understand. Look, this isn't going to be. It's not all roses, right? This isn't going to be the most fun experience. I'm here to work, and I'm here to be part of a very historic fight in a historic situation, being in the bubble, right? I was more than grateful to be there and would do it over again every single time. But very different, right? I mean, this is covering sports, live sports in 2020, and I think this is what we're going to have to do until, for the foreseeable future. So just definitely grateful to be there, but happy when I left for sure, and I was only there 2 days.
It's definitely the new norm. It's something we have to get used to, especially someone like yourself that covers a lot of these events and you're there all the time. So it's something that definitely everyone's going to have to get used to. But let's jump into the fight now, obviously. Super fight, not the situation that we wanted, meaning we wanted a packed house at a big arena, at a big stadium when you get these type of fights, obviously.
Sure.
But you had the pound-for-pound #1 in Vasily Lomachenko going against a kid in Teofimo López, which basically kind of did what Conor McGregor did with Mayweather. And what I mean by that, he threw it out into the universe. His dad kind of, went after Loma in that elevator when they were getting there and basically said, I'm going to make it happen. And if you look at a lot of these kids' tweets, a lot of it was basically setting himself up to where he's at now.
Yeah.
He's now the lightweight champ of the world. And what I mean by that, the whole division, there's no denying that. We know that. But what did you see in this fight? There's a lot of people that called this fight a draw. I disagree. I'm a huge fan of Loma. I wanted to see him win this fight. But at the end of the day, Teofimo López won this fight. There's no denying that. But some of these scorecards, me and Rob were talking about this earlier, they were a little bit kind of ridiculous. Teofimo won, but not by those type of margins, right? I mean, what did you see?
I was shocked.
Oh, yeah. One, the 119, 107 or whatever it was, 119, 108. I can't even remember what the exact score was, 119, 109, whatever. Very, very, very surprising. But no, Jose, you nailed it. Teofimo López won that fight. And I thought he controlled the early rounds, right? He was dictating the pace and the tempo. He was fighting his fight. He was aggressive with both his jab and his power shots to the head and the body. And we know what Lomachenko likes to do, right? He likes to get it. He's a magician with his footwork, and he likes to get in the ring and maneuver you and feint and do fakes and all these things. He's very, very tactical. He's brilliant and a joy to watch. And Teofimo had a game plan. Like, you could tell. No, I'm not letting you move around. I'm using my length, I'm using my size, and I'm going to keep you in check with this jab, with these hooks, with these body shots, and with my work. And you are not going to be able to roam freely. And I thought it took Loma quite a bit of time to adjust to what Teofimo was doing. It was an incredible game plan, right? And I think what was particularly remarkable about this is we know Teofimo López is a power puncher. We know him for his knockouts. We know him. We know he can do that. I don't think many people thought he could get in the ring and outbox one of the, if not the best boxer, like you said, pound for pound. If we're talking skill, you're talking about Lomachenko as maybe the class of boxing right now. And Teofimo López got in that ring and outboxed, outmaneuvered, outskilled Vasily Lomachenko. And it was incredibly, incredibly impressive. And I want to give Lomachenko his credit, right? He finally was able to figure things out, maybe that 7th, 8th round, and mounted what I thought was a very strong rally. I thought he controlled 4 or 5 rounds in there where he looked like the Lomachenko that we know. He was fast, he was moving around, he was aggressive, he was throwing combinations, and I thought he was really wearing out López. But to López's credit, what could have been a close fight, what some may have scored as a really close fight, he put that to bed in the 12th round. He landed 50 punches in that 12th round alone. Per CompuBox, that is the most punches ever landed on one round against Vasily Lomachenko. He landed 148 power punches in that fight. That is the most power punches anybody has landed against Vasily Lomachenko, right? The stats back up what we saw. He threw more, he landed the more powerful shots. His defense was better for the majority of the fight, and that's why he's the unified lightweight champion right now. Like you said, there's no disputing he's the class of the division. And
undisputed.
really, I think
undisputed as well.
Got all the belts.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, what I think is he is the perfect superstar, arriving at the perfect time for boxing. Right? We knew he had the power. Okay, that was no question about that. Now we know he has the skill.
Yep.
And we've seen that. And on top of that, like you mentioned, he's got the mouthpiece.
Yo.
He can talk the talk. He knows how to promote his fights. His dad is tremendous at that as well. Their team was fantastic. They were outstanding leading up to the fight for the last 2 years, and they call for this, right? We're used to seeing younger fighters want to build their resume, build their record. There's an allure to that unbeaten, that zero. And Teofimo López said, no, man, forget all that. I'm here. I'm the best lightweight in the division, and I'm going to assert myself against the pound for pound, arguably best pound for pound fighter in the world. And he was outstanding in doing that. And I think it is exactly what boxing needs as it works to establish its foothold again in the mainstream.
Sam Gordon of the Las Vegas Review-Journal joining us here tonight. He was ringside at the Teofimo López Lomachenko super fight this past weekend that happened. Now, when we talk about the lightweight division, we know what Teofimo López has done or what he's already accomplished. We know where he's at. We know, like you said, he's got the mouthpiece. He can promote himself. He can talk the talk. He can walk the walk. He can back it up. What's next for him in this division? You have to defend those titles now. That's the next step. Now, who do you see in this division that can actually give him any type of shot? Obviously, people are saying, don't give Lomachenko the rematch.
What?
There's a thing coming out now that Lomachenko had an injury. But
Sure.
then Dan Rafael's saying it's not an excuse that there's facts if he actually had surgery and this and that. I don't like hearing about injuries after the fight. I want to hear them before. To me, if I hear them after, it becomes out as an excuse. Like with Tyson Fury and Wilder, when he talked about the weight, it was too heavy for him.
Sure.
That type of stuff. But going back to this division, we have Gervonta Davis. You got Devin Haney. I mean, you got guys that are still undefeated in the top 10 in the lightweight division. Who do you see him taking this next step with? Or do you see him somehow giving Lomachenko the rematch first?
I would be surprised if they gave Lomachenko the rematch. I mean, after the fight, Teofimo, pretty much dismissed the idea of giving Lomachenko a rematch. Now, I personally would love to see that. Lomachenko stepped in the ring, right? I'm with you. It's not an excuse at all. He stepped in the ring. But I think it would be as good of a fight as it was. I think we would see a different kind of Lomachenko. I'd be curious to see how he would adjust to Teofimo, knowing that Teofimo is an outstanding boxer, and I would be curious to see what adjustments Teofimo would make back, because clearly these are two cerebral fighters. There's no question about that, but I don't see that happening. I would be surprised if it does. In terms of the viable opponents for him at lightweight, you mentioned the two names, Jose. I think Gervonta Davis would be an incredible fight for him. He's under the Mayweather banner, as we know. Mayweather and Top Rank have had they've worked together in the past, of course, with the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight, and maybe there's a chance that they could put something together. I think that fight would definitely be a pay-per-view draw. It could make a lot of money, and we know what Gervonta Davis brings to the table, and we know about his fight coming up with Leo Santa Cruz. He's a knockout artist. He's a knockout specialist. He has tremendous power, and I think Teofimo López would be an ideal opponent for him. And then if it's not Gervonta, if it's not Tank, you look at a Devin Haney who has the skill, the defense, the footwork, the fundamentals, incredibly skilled fighter who has, still has the one of the WBC's belts, and that he's going to defend his title early next month as well. So those are the two guys if they stay at 135, and I think that's the money division right now. And I think that would be the best move for Teofimo as he continues to build his brand, is take one more fight at 135. But as you guys know, he's a bigger lightweight, right?
Yeah.
You saw that size differential in the ring. You saw Lopez's frame. He's still only 23. I see him also maybe after one more fight at lightweight going up to 140, possibly even settling at 147, or dare I say this, 154, right? We're looking at a young man in Teofimo López who has the potential, the size, the build, the frame to possibly take down and conquer multiple divisions. For him, it's about how long do you want to stay at lightweight. He made the weight. He looked spectacular. There's no doubt about that. But he acknowledged after the fight, and his dad acknowledged it's challenging for him. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of drive, a lot of discipline in his diet for him to make 135. I hope we see Lopez Davis or Lopez Haney. I think his camp knows that those would both be lucrative fights, and I think you saw Devin Haney on Twitter, calling for that fight. We'll see how Tank Davis does after this weekend. Santa Cruz, by my estimation, is the best fighter, the most skilled fighter he'll have faced to date. Maybe if he handles business,
I agree with you on
ready
that.
to step up. and take on Teofimo López for a big money fight. We know how Mayweather, Mayweather, they're the money team. We know that they're not going to turn down a lucrative opportunity, and Tank is going to be 26. I mean, he's approaching the prime. He's done his thing. He's built his way up. He has the undefeated record. He has that profile now, and he has that pay-per-view draw. I think that would be an outstanding fight. But I expect López to be at 135 for no longer than a year, and then you're going to start to see him take down other divisions, and he definitely has the ability to do that, to be a titleist at 140 and 147.
So another question I had for you, Sam, when it comes to Teofimo, I don't know if you have anything for Sam. Rob, you good?
No, I'm good right now. I can only see a rematch. That's all I can see right now. So I would love to see a rematch. I mean, I'm sure most of us would. Too. Yeah. I would love to see a rematch, but if he's gonna move on, I mean, yeah. If I were Lomachenko, I would definitely make sure I get a rematch, because that whole fight came down to the last round for me. So I had him taking the last round, and I had 7-5. I had 7-5 López, but yeah, they definitely came down to the last round.
Yeah, I had 7-5 López as well. I thought López, I thought Lomachenko got that second round, and I thought Lomachenko controlled the fight from 8, 9, 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, and 11, that would be. And then López was just outstanding in that final round. I mean, he really showed a lot of heart. But I can also see, I can see López getting the first 7 rounds. I think 116, 112 would have been fair, and I could even see 117, 111, right? There's a number of ways that this fight could have gone. I could not see 119, 109. I thought that was absurd. I thought Lomachenko at least got 3 rounds without question. And like you said, I gave him 5. So I'm curious to see where Lomachenko goes, right? Like, he has his surgery. That's legit. Does he want to stay at 135 and really try and get that rematch, or maybe fight a Devin Haney or a Ryan Garcia, maybe, who has a fight coming up in December, who we know under the Golden Boy banner is one of the best in 135? Or does he move back down? Does he go back down to a 130 and take on somebody like a Shakur Stevenson, right? I mean, to me, 135, Lomachenko can make that weight, and he can fight those fights, and we've seen him do that, right? He was unified champion, but 130 feels like a little bit more natural for him in terms of his size. He's not a big 135. He's a smaller 135. He feels more like a natural 130. But I'm not. We should not be writing Vasily Lomachenko's obituary yet. Like, we cannot do that. This man is still. You saw the skill. It just was a little too late in that fight, and he's still only 32. I mean, there's a lot of big fights in his future should he want those, without a doubt.
No, I agree with you. There's a lot of fights that sometimes just because you lose, it doesn't necessarily hurt you. It helps you. I mean, a lot of people criticize, or at least people that I spoke to, maybe you didn't, but people that I spoke to criticize Teofimo López because he's 23. He took a fight against a pound-for-pound boxer. Kind of brings back memories of Canelo Floyd Mayweather, which to me, that was still one of the best fights that Canelo could have took, because he learned so much from it. There is a such thing as a good loss, in my opinion, and that was a great loss for Canelo, because look at what he's done ever since. Now going to my point with that, he's proven the doubters wrong. He's proven that he can go out there with the best, fight anyone, and he wants to fight anyone. That's what I like about Teofimo. He doesn't run from anyone. He's willing to fight anyone in the division if he has to. But now, kind of going back to the weight thing. This fight was at what, 135, I believe? 135?
135, yep.
He went into the ring rehydrated over 140. I think he was like at 142 or give or take, they said.
Sure.
So if he's already used to being around this weight, what's going to stop him from moving up and wanting to take these belts and fight these guys? He's already proven, I'm not running from anyone in a lower weight class. So for sure, we have to see him move up. That's the only other step here, right?
And we will. It's just a matter of time. Is it the next fight, or is he going to take one more at 135 or 2 more at 135? You look at the Josh Taylor.
So wait, okay, I don't want to cut you off. What would you say is a better fit for him, though? Because you're covering this now. Would you say it's better for him to hit 2 more fights at this weight and then move up, or one and then take it?
I think from what's a more compelling matchup perspective, where he could find the bigger names, it's definitely at 135, right? Like we just talked about with Tank, with Devin Haney, with a Ryan Garcia, or a rematch with Lomachenko if they're willing to grant that. Like, those are the bigger fights, the bigger draws, right? Josh Taylor at 140 or Jose Ramirez at 140, they just don't have the same kind of brand or same cachet yet. And maybe they will in due time, and that would be fine. But both of those guys are also under the Top Rank banner at 140. And we're expecting some type of unification fight early next year for them. I can see López, look, if nothing materializes at 135 at the beginning of next year, okay, I'm good. I'm going to vacate these belts. I'm going to go up to 140, and I'm going to fight whoever the undisputed 140-pound champion is. I'm going to take his belts. I mean, he is fearless. It would not surprise me one bit if that's his next fight. And like I touched on, Jose, I could see him going up to 147 soon, within a year or two. Maybe he's the one who takes on an Errol Spence or a Terrence Crawford. Who's to say he's not going to at 147 or somebody of that ilk? Who's to say he's not going to go up to 154 in 2 or 3 years? Yeah. I think that would be a fast move, but I can see him eventually settling in at 154. And conquering that division. He has, like we touched on, he has the skill, he has the power, he has the bravado, he has the charisma. I don't think there's a ceiling on this young man's potential after what he showcased. I mean, he outboxed Vasily Lomachenko. Like, he didn't use his power to beat him. He outboxed the best boxer in the world. That makes, to me, Teofimo López he's personally in my top 5 right now, pound for pound, based on what he's given us. And the only thing stopping that is that ascension up to the top is time, and he will get. I believe he has the potential to get there in due time to be the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, based on what he just showed us. I think when he gets there, it will be at 40 or 47.
Whew. Sam Gordon bringing the heat. Just tell us how you really feel about the division of the boxers.
Yeah, for sure. But from a spectator's perspective, Jose, I think the best fights are at 135. That's the division that I find to be the most captivating. López, Haney, Garcia, Davis, Lomachenko, all there right now. Those are, you still have, again, Lomachenko, a top 10 pound for pound, top 5, still top 5, top 10 kind of pound for pound talent, in the 4 young unbeaten guys. I mean, you want to bring boxing back, right? What about to me, this division, if López stays, and even if he doesn't, if these young guys all get in the ring with each other, you have these charismatic, young, unbeaten fighters. It reminds me of a Four Kings situation in the 80s with Marvin Hagler, with Tommy the Hitman Hearns, with Roberto Duran, and with Sugar Ray Leonard. Yikes. There's no shame in losing a fight, like you touched on with Canelo, right? Like, Canelo at 23 got in the ring with arguably the greatest boxer of all time, and that's not a bad loss for him, and it has catapulted him to superstardom. He right now, I believe, is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, Canelo Alvarez. I hope we see him in the ring soon. But that was a similar, like you said, that's a great comparison. Similar situation. Teofimo had nothing to lose, everything to gain, and he maximized that investment by taking that risk in his career. I hope that serves as a model to other young fighters. Like, hey, I can get in the ring with some of these established champions. We can put on a great fight, the kind of fight that attracts 3 million viewers, by the way, on ESPN. Big time numbers for boxing. Huge to see boxing.
Most streaming numbers ever as well.
Mainstream cable network, not being on a pay-per-view, seeing a great fight like that with great charismatic fighters, and a legend like Lomachenko, who regardless of what happens here on out, we know what he's done as an amateur and as a professional. So it's an exciting time, man. I really, really think Saturday was monumental for the sport, just because of the visibility and because of the evolution of Lopez's star. I mean, some of these other young fighters can do that. They can fight each other. A loss or two isn't going to kill your brand. These are the fights the fans want, and this is how you become a star.
Sam Gordon from the Las Vegas Review-Journal joining us here tonight on Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. I'm your host, Jose V. Rob G in front of me. Big Game Jane Mays behind the big board producing the show as always. So before we let you go, my man, I'm pretty sure you're going to be at the Leo Santa Cruz Gervonta Davis fight, correct?
Not quite. That's in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. But I did talk with Tank today.
Okay.
I am going to be writing a preview story on that fight, profiling Tank, and he's locked in and he's ready to go. And that is a huge fight. That is a huge fight. Santa Cruz is a multi-division champion. We know what he's done. He is still, I believe, in the later part of his prime, and is the most skilled boxer that Tank will have fought to date. And with a win for Gervonta Davis, you win championships in multiple divisions. You ascend. You continue to build the profile as a pay-per-view star, as one of the names, one of the rising names, not even rising anymore, one of the solidified superstars in boxing. And I can't wait for that fight. That is a very, very compelling matchup to me. I think it is going to be a more competitive fight than most people anticipate, for sure.
And what do you think, final thought, will be the outcome of that match?
I think Tank is going to win by knockout late in the fight. That is my pick. I think if Santa Cruz wins, it's going to go the distance and will be by decision. I think we're going to see a more skilled Tank. I think he's had a lot of time to work on his skills to improve. I mean, he's still only 25. We know about the power. I think he's going to be coming into this fight a little bit more refined than we've seen him in the past, and I expect it to be a great fight, a close fight. that I think Tank is going to end by knockout. But we'll see, right? I mean, it's boxing. You never know. I think the majority of the public, I mean, Lomachenko was an overwhelming favorite. Yeah. I think the majority of the public thought Lomachenko was going to win that fight, and he didn't. You never know in boxing. And to me, this is the first fight where although Tank, in my estimation right now, is the better fighter and the better boxer, or the better fighter, I don't think you can just pencil him in for a victory. I think people who are assuming that he's just going to walk through Santa Cruz don't know what Santa Cruz has done in his career and know the kind of fighter he is. Now, a Tank knockout, he has that power. It could come at any time. We know that. He catches him second, third, fourth round. That's definitely in play. But I think Santa Cruz is too skilled and too experienced to let that happen. I think we're going to see a long competitive fight that Tank ultimately wins by using his trademark power, his irreplicable power, his unduplicable power. He's very, very unique. He's a special talent, and I'm excited for that fight. I think it's a great, great, great matchup.
And for those of you that never seen Leo Santa Cruz fight, watch for this.
Yeah.
He likes to do that little shaky thing of the hand. But once again, Sam Gordon of the Las Vegas Review-Journal joining us tonight. Sam, thank you so much for jumping on with us for a few minutes here. Now, I know you do more than just boxing for the Review-Journal. Let everyone out there know what you got going on with the Review-Journal and where they can find all of your work, my man.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me. I also help cover I'm part of our Raiders coverage team, NFL coverage team here. You can follow along at Vegas Nation on Twitter or VegasNation.com. We have a podcast. I'm on the First and 10 podcast with my co-host Vinny Bonsignor. Every Monday, we break down the game the Raiders just played and do a little bit of preview into the next game. And then, you can find our written stuff, some on-camera stuff too. We have videos, practice reports, feature stories, everything you can imagine, and then as well as my boxing coverage. So that's reviewjournal.com, vegasnation.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @BySamGordon. Fellas, it was an absolute joy. Love talking boxing with you guys. Appreciate it, and keep up the great work.
My man, thank you so much. Thanks, Sam Gordon, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Have a great night, brother.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Good stuff, man. It's always good to have someone that was actually an actual event to give us his thoughts of what he saw.
Yeah, he had the fight score the same as me.
That's good. You see that? It goes to show you that not just because someone's there ringside covering their media is going to be completely different. A fan can have the same thing.
I had it coming down to the last round, but I think you have to give a rematch in that situation.
I don't know, man. I say yes because Vasily came out and said, I'm going to give you an opportunity to take my reign. You should give me an opportunity to win that.
I'm surprised it's not in the contract. I reached out to
someone. That is crazy. My buddy posted it right here too, Brian. He goes, no rematch clause in the contract either.
Yeah, so I just reached out to someone, and I guess, it wasn't there either. So, which is interesting because normally the champion just works,
they make sure that they have a rematch clause.
Yeah, exactly. So
Anthony Joshua and Ruiz, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, even Tyson Fury, Deontay, right? I mean, that one was for sure too. So
definitely
for Loma not to have one in there, it's kind of surprising to me.
Good stuff, though, man. That was a fun little segment with Sam Gordon there. Let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, I'm telling you. And not only that, like I said, he covers more stuff. So go ahead and follow him for sure. But let's move on to our next segment of the night, our weekly sports chatter. We only have 2 sports chatter topics tonight. Let's talk about one first, and we'll leave your Dodgers second. How about that? So we can finish out with that. So the first one being the Miami Dolphins have decided to move on from the 7th ranked passer rating quarterback in the NFL, Ryan Fitzpatrick, a quarterback that has led his team to a 3-3 record in a division that no longer has Tom Brady. We know that. But they're in a division where they're 1 game out of first place. Buffalo just lost. Buffalo's 4-2. Miami's 3-3. Now, if you guys know me, you follow me, social media, you talk to me, friends, family, whatever it may be, you know that I don't think Tua's going to do anything in the NFL anyways.
At all?
I think he's going to be a bust. I've been calling it.
No,
first of all,
I haven't heard you say that.
First of all, Alabama quarterbacks don't pan out in the NFL. The last one that did it was Joe Willie Namath, won Super Bowl III with my Jets. No other Alabama quarterback has done crap since. Let's be honest.
Correct, but I
here's the thing.
You saying that Tua was not going to be a...
Bro, you could ask Mike Dixon, Vegas Sports Daily, good friend of mine. He's a big Dolphins fan. We had this conversation. I talked to him on the phone for an hour, and I explained to him why. It's not an analytical thing. It's not a stat thing. The kid is great. There's no taking away what he's done and what he's done at Alabama and what he's done in his football career. But first of all, you're injury prone. Second of all, you had a Bo Jackson injury, which will end most people's career. That's another one. Not only that, you went to Miami. Miami's going to ruin your career in general. They don't have anything good going for them. They just ended up benching a guy that was doing pretty good just to give a rookie the opportunity to take over. Now,
of all the teams that are doing a rebuild, I think that the Dolphins are doing the best job. When you consider like all the teams that have said like, hey, we're going to tank.
I'll see it when they win.
They're obviously not saying they're going to tank, but the teams that we say on paper that are going to tank or they look like they're tanking, I think the Dolphins have done a good job with their draft in the last year or last couple years, and they're 3-3, one game out of first place right now.
Here's the thing. I like what Brian Flores is doing. I give him credit.
Correct.
But this move here it's unprecedented. How do you risk not only – here's the thing. Like I said, that's my belief, okay? I'm not disagreeing with anyone that says that he's going to succeed. I hope he succeeds. Let me get that out there. I don't want people to think I'm just hating on this kid and I'm talking trash and I'm trying to put him down. No, I'm not those type of people you see on ESPN that like to run their mouth just to bring some of these players down and then mess with their mental. No, I hope and pray you have a great career. I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, with that being said, this kid's a rookie coming off a possible career-ending injury, like I said. You are the Miami Dolphins. You went into this season already knowing you weren't playing for anything. Ryan Fitzpatrick was told the opportunity was yours. You're going to mentor, but you know what the eventual process is going to be. We knew it was going to be two at a time eventually. But you're basically risking your franchise. As you just said, Rob, they've done a great job of rebuilding or whatever it is. Could this be the one wrong thing they do in the rebuilding process by bringing them back too early? Aren't you risking this kid's career and not only that, your franchise?
I do. I completely agree that they're doing Ryan Fitzpatrick wrong at this point in time in the season. If they were maybe like 1-5 or maybe 2-4, whatever the situation may be, that may be a perfect time to maybe bring in Tua. I was hoping that we would be able to see him, at Raider Stadium, because they played the Raiders at the end of the year. But to bring him in one game down from first place, really kind of shows. It really shows where they want to. It's almost like the first real sign that a team is really tanking. Like no team is ever going to say that they're tanking, like I just said before. But yeah, bringing him in after one series in the previous game when they were up, when they were beating the Jets, of course. To bring him in at this point in time, I feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick in the short end of the stick for sure.
And who are you playing? You're playing Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
the best defensive player in the league.
Well, did they announce him to be the starter moving forward, or was it just for the time being?
So right here, one day after Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores elevated rookie Tua Tagovailoa to starting quarterback, the recently demoted Ryan Fitzpatrick said the timing broke his heart and wonders if his time in the NFL is done.
I feel like he's been getting that short in this, like I said,
everywhere.
That part everywhere he's gone. I mean, sometimes it's injury related. But this time, he's
the only quarterback to ever throw, I believe it was, play and throw a touchdown for 8 different teams.
Yikes! Yeah.
Not only that, he's played for every team in the AFC East except the Patriots.
And every time he gets hit,
he played for the Dolphins, the Jets, the Bills.
He's super reliable. He's super durable. I feel like sometimes when you watch him,
he could take a hit
like no other, especially with that beard, and it never really looks like his chin strap is on correctly. It's just
cushion.
It's just like floating right there, right over his chin, and he can take some hits and he gets back up and he keeps throwing and he has no conscience. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to throwing, he could throw 2 or 3 picks and he's going out there and he's ready to throw on the next series. So I definitely feel for Ryan in this situation because it's not the right time. I wish I could disagree with you and be like, yeah, now's the right time to bring in Tua, but now's not the right time to bring in Tua. Especially, I feel like they should have just started him to start the season. Like, why wouldn't you just start Tua to start the season? Like, why are you going to bring him in when you're one game out?
It's interesting and it's crazy. I don't get it. For Tua's sake, I honestly hope that nothing happens to this kid. I hope they protect him. I hope they have a good O-line for him because you want to see people succeed. I'm not here to down anyone. I'm here to give you my thoughts, and that's it. My thoughts don't mean that I want someone to not do well. That's what I want to clear up. But a lot of people always get on me because, what do you mean he's not going to do it? Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm just telling you what I see and what I feel. He looks like that. Okay, here's the thing. The last quarterback that I said was going to be a bust and wasn't going to do anything, was probably not going to have a job eventually, and I said it, was Jameis Winston. He's a backup now in New Orleans, lost his job to Tom Brady in Tampa. But Granted, he had the 30 for 30 season last year. How many? You want to call it that?
How many times has Drew Brees played this season where they're just like start looking to that bench because he's been playing?
But here's the thing, though. They're going to go to Taysom Hill before they go to Jameis Winston. Come on, let's be real. They're going to go to Taysom Hill before they go to Jameis. I know we're going off topic here.
Maybe.
But
as we always do, but yeah, maybe.
Well, look, Ryan, you played for my Jets. You gave us some good times when you were there. you should have shut your mouth and not wanted that contract extension at the end of the year and just continue to play. You probably would have still been there and did good. But it is what it is. I don't think you're done. He's 37 years old. I can still see him being somewhere as a backup and being that guy that's going to take over again, or just have nothing to lose and possibly take a team to the playoffs. He could be that guy.
Best backup in NFL history.
Ooh.
Right? He's up there.
Ooh. So, okay. Good point. Let's stick on that before we jump to the Dodgers. Let's stick on
Who's another one that you can think of?
Exactly. Who's another backup quarterback that you can think of?
The ones that come to my mind.
If you got one, you can chime in if you think of
the ones. I'm not going back too far, but I can think of
Drew Brees.
No. Who's Drew Brees? No. I can maybe say. I'm just trying to. Elvis Grbac, maybe Elvis Grbac. I mean, he was a backup for a while.
Actually, you know what? Rich Gannon. He was a backup for a while and became a starter.
No, but I'm talking more of just like play, didn't play, didn't play.
Back and forth.
Castle, who was it? For
Matt Castle.
Matt Castle was one of them.
Matt Castle.
And then who's the other one too? For Miami. Speaking of Miami, the one that came. Was it Matt Moore?
You talking about Chad Henne?
No, I think it was Matt Moore. Matt Moore used to come.
Matt Moore played for the Panthers. Yeah, he played for the Panthers.
Yeah, well, we're not going back too far. I'm sure there's been some great ones over the years.
But even if you name those other guys, I still would say Fitzpatrick because
of course
he was a starter, and I believe he even took a team to the playoffs at one point, or was something like that. So, yeah, man, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's go ahead and hashtag it right now. Best backup quarterback of NFL history.
NFL history,
all time.
Got it.
Moving on, the Los Angeles Dodgers came out and had a dominant performance in Game 1. To all my Dodger fans watching and listening, you guys enjoyed it. You probably did not enjoy tonight. I get it. But I called Dodgers in 7. I thought they would win the series and go 7. Tonight is an example of that. The Rays are no pushover. Rob, you said that, but when we were on the way here, you said don't sleep on the Rays. They're not there for no reason. They're the best team in the AL, best record in the American League.
That's the pure definition of Moneyball right there, right?
And not only that, Clayton Kershaw came out and had a gem. But he had run support, which is something that Kershaw has always not had in the past. If you look at a lot of Kershaw games, whether it's postseason or regular, tell me I'm wrong. 2-1, 2-0, 3-1, 3-2. Close games where he doesn't get that much run support. So to see the way the Dodgers came out in Game 1 was great. A little bit soft tonight, not the way you guys wanted to start. Any concerns for you, especially being a Dodger fan after what you saw tonight? After what you saw in Game 1 going into Game 2.
I mean, like I've said in the previous weeks, watching Kershaw, I want to see when they're down, right? Pitching Game 1, yes, it's not. I don't think it's considered a must win in that situation. So he pitched great. Don't get me wrong. I think it was 6. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 run. But yeah, I don't think his back was against the wall. As I've said, that's how I want to see if Kershaw is the same Kershaw of old. But yeah, Game 1 went as planned. Dominating win, 8-3. This game, I don't know what the Dodgers were doing with this pitching rotation.
Talk about that. I was just going to ask you because they made some moves that surprised a lot of people.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, they brought in
and then all credit to Brian, like Brian said. Snell pitched the gym. You can't sleep on that.
Well, he pitched the gym and then kind of gave it up. I mean, they almost caught up a little bit.
He had a no-hitter, and then they got that 2-run shot.
Yeah, we were listening in the car on the way over, and they started Gonsolin, or however you say his last name, and then literally it just started this carousel of pitchers coming in. So I don't know if they were just trying to save Buehler until next game, or if this was their plan to actually win the game. I feel like the Dodgers almost knew that they were going to lose this game, or just kind of gave up one just to make sure that their pitching staff was set up for Game 7. You know, I feel like after they started moving all these pitchers out, like it was random. Like a pitcher would get 2 outs, and then they would bring in a new pitcher. Like he wasn't even struggling. There was no men on base, and it would just be another pitching change.
Do you think it was a strategy towards the batter, lefty versus righty, righty versus lefty, whatever it might have been?
I hope so. I hope it was a strategy because it obviously didn't work out in their favor. But I'm just kind of lost on how they started Gonsolin. He gave up a home run to start the game.
We even saw Wood in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know he was on the roster anymore. But I thought he was gone. But I mean, there were some pitchers that were doing well, especially the second pitcher. I think his name was Flores. Was pitching well, and then randomly they just brought in another pitcher, and and then Dustin May. Dustin May's the one they brought him in, and he kind of gave it up a little bit, and that kind of got the ball rolling in the Tampa Bay's favor. and they kind of took over from there. But I was a little lost on the pitching changes. I don't have the stats up in front of me. I don't even know how many pitchers they went through tonight. That's interesting. I'm gonna look that up right now.
Once again, this is another episode of Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. I'm your host, Jose V. Rob G in front of me, Big Game James Mays. I know that's a long nickname, but it sounds good. You know, it rhymes. You know,
Big Game James.
Yeah, gotta throw it out there. James Russell.
Or James Russell. They went through 8 pitchers.
We were watching a little bit of Money Talks before the show.
They went through 8 pitchers, and not one pitched over 2 innings. Alex Wood pitched 2 innings. Everyone else is 1.1 or 1.0.
So there was some type of strategy there, definitely for sure.
Yeah, but are you really trying to try this strategy in the World Series? Like, I didn't see that in the National. I mean, I saw a little bit of it against the Braves. I mean, they were rotating a little bit.
Dave Roberts always doing something with pitching, man.
I just feel like you've been out coached. I mean, I know the Astros were cheating, but I feel like every time I honestly was a fan of getting rid of Dave Roberts after the last loss of the World Series. Yeah. I talked about it, but this type of approach really kind of throw me off, and I don't know. I don't really think a World Series was the time to try this. So
I got you. If you guys want to chime in, man, 702-608-3259. We're talking World Series MLB 2020 here. Oops. So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. We got the audio there.
Right, I'm watching the audio right here.
Gotta jump it in.
Just watching Snell just mow people down for the first couple innings.
But yeah, Brian Aleman chimed in as well, as always. Bueller start game 3, Urias game 4. It's been confirmed that tonight's loss.
How about him coming in as a closer? Right? Urias?
He came in tonight?
No,
game 1?
Game 1, yeah, he came in as a closer. Or was it game 1 or game? I think it was the Atlanta game. He came in as a closer. So
probably, I think it was the last game.
I think it was Atlanta. Yeah, I was surprised to not see Kenley in that position. But I mean, Julio came down and he closed it out, and yeah, it was a tight game. But yeah, he closed it out.
So we're talking Los Angeles Dodgers here. We're about to move forward and talk some NFL here shortly. But once again, like I said, if you're watching on Facebook, share, like, comment, let us know what you think. If you want to give us a call, 702-608-3259 here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. So it's game 3 tomorrow?
No, they take a day off.
They take a day off? Okay, cool.
Perfect, because I can't watch the game tomorrow. So Friday, 5 o'clock.
I'm off Friday, so it works even better.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We skip, and then we go Tuesday.
Wow, man. It's going to be interesting, man. I hope the Dodgers pull it off. I hope the Dodgers pull it off. I think they will. I don't see any problems with that.
They need to pull it off. If they don't pull it off,
So
how many people have gone through 3 World Series losses in their life?
We'll finish on this note. Me and Rob had this conversation on the way here. I was having a conversation with my wife. She's like, I don't know how you guys watch this, this and that. I told her, well, think about this. Rob is about to be in his 3rd World Series in 4 years as a Dodger fan without a win so far. She goes, oh, yeah, that sucks. It probably sucks for you. I'm like, well, I'm a Jets fan. I wasn't around when they won the first Super Bowl, but I'm a Yankee fan. I've been more fortunate to see them win championships than lose. They've only lost 2 championships in my lifetime, or at least since I've been watching and following. So it's a little bit different. So not only that, he's a Niner fan. So 2 Super Bowls. Tough.
2 Super Bowls. This is going to be my 3rd World Series. And not to mention, my entire family is Giants fans. They're San Francisco Giants fans. So when you win 3 just on the odd years and 09, I hear it all the time. So I'm one of the only Dodger fans in my family. I think I may have one of my nephews on board with me, but they're all Giants fans. So I mean, just having to live in that atmosphere, and
fun times.
Going and being the underdog every time and winning the World Series, and they got 3 rings. In the last 20.
So, you guys still have more, so it don't matter.
Right, correct. But I would rather take them right now than those
in your lifetime.
Yeah, at least get me in my lifetime. But I'm a Niners fan too, and I've lost 2 Super Bowls like that too.
So James, I got a request for you. Can you play some Dr. Dre, some old Dr. Dre? Of course, edited. We don't want to get in trouble.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Just some West Coast, since it is West Coast Wednesday, just to move on into our next segment.
He was playing some DJ Quick. I heard the DJ Quick, and I was like, yeah, I'm good with that.
So our new segment of the night, something I wanted to create. I'm sitting at home last night. I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? Rob's always giving us his thoughts and his conspiracy theories, or this line opened up here and this looks fishy. So he gets into depth more than I do, because I don't look into it like that. He is the better on this show. Let's be honest. Even though the name of the show is called Straight Bet Sports with Jose V, Rob G is the better of the show. Let's be honest. So with that being said, moving forward to this new segment of the night that we're gonna have every single Wednesday. There we go. This is the opening line with Rob G. Rob, go ahead and break down what you've seen, or what is in front of your screen that you want to let people know that looks fishy there tonight.
So last week I didn't have too much to talk about when it came to college football. We kind of skipped over that segment and jumped right into the NFL. But this week we got the Big Ten back, right? Big Ten's coming back. Okay. Mountain West is coming back, right? Probably should have said that first since we're live in Las Vegas.
San Diego State.
Yep, everything's coming back on both of those sides of the field. So college football really feels like it's back now, right? Unfortunately, I don't have any plays on those two divisions. Okay. But two things that jumped out of the page to me. Well, not say jumped out, but two things I wanted to at least come with two plays. I feel like more than two plays is like a reach, right? So first game, Alabama versus Tennessee.
Okay.
Tennessee 2 weeks ago played Georgia, had them on the ropes maybe for the first half of the game.
Okay.
Came back, second half started, and then Georgia just took over, right? Georgia took over, demolished them, had a horrible second half against them. They come back next week, right, against Kentucky, 6-point favorites. Money about, I believe the money is about 50-50 on both sides, and they just get completely, they look like an amateur team against Kentucky. Kentucky ran them. I don't even remember how many points they scored, to be honest with you, off the top of my head, but I think they scored like 10 points. Alabama coming off an okay first half against Georgia, then just literally just like I always, demolished Georgia second half, covered the spread, undefeated for the season. Tennessee, Alabama's 4-0, Tennessee's 2-2. Line opens up, Alabama on the road at Tennessee. It still is the SEC. As bad as Tennessee has looked the last 2 weeks, Alabama opens up as a negative, as a -20 favorite. Sharp money instantly comes in on Tennessee, dropping the line to 19.5, 19. As expected, line moves back up. We're looking at Alabama -21. I got to start saying -21. Yeah. And you got about 90% of the money on Alabama. I'm looking at Tennessee on this with a backdoor cover. I want to call it right then. I don't
backdoor cover on Tennessee.
Yeah, backdoor cover. You can call those sometimes where I think Alabama's going to win this game, obviously, but I can see Tennessee making a late drive to cover this spread. Give me the 3 touchdowns in Tennessee at home.
Okay.
All right.
So that's the only game that you're saying that you're saying?
I got one more.
So I agree with you on the SEC part of it.
It is the SEC.
I don't know much about Tennessee. I've seen what Alabama has done in this short season so far.
They were preseason ranked number 3. I think it was number 13.
They were top 25 for sure.
They were top 20. I'll say that.
But it's the SEC. It's a road game. I'll take the points. I agree with you on that. I can see it being at least a 20-point loss. I'll take the 1.5. You know what I mean? If that
Ole
makes
Miss
sense.
kind of laid the path of how to
Lane
score.
Kiffin, right? Isn't Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss?
Yeah, he's running Ole Miss. They scored. They went literally toe-to-toe with Alabama until like the last 5 minutes of the game, and Alabama just kind of took off on them. But they were tied up at half, and it was close. Like I said, close until the last 5 minutes, and Alabama took off. But they kind of laid the road how to score on Alabama, and I think Tennessee can learn from it. I know they've looked horrible the last 2 games, but give me 21 points at home in the SEC.
See, and that's why I wanted to bring up and do this segment, because the way Rob breaks down the bets, it's like the way you're going to be doing it with your buddies at the book. You're going to be talking like, look, bro, check this out. I saw this happened. This is what I'm looking at. Granted, it's not the professional stuff. We get that. We're not pros. But I guarantee you the type of stuff that Rob's telling you, it's not the way you're going to hear it somewhere else. You might go on a professional show or someone that's giving you analytics and all that. You're just going to get lost and confused. You want to hear the chatter? That's the chatter that you hear with your boys when you're at the book, right? Tell me.
Correct.
What you just basically explained was easy. A couple weeks ago, they played this game. They opened up at that. Next game, they play this. This happened. And now you're telling me this is the line? Simple. It's not that hard. What you got next?
Next one. Miami at home versus Virginia. Miami 2 weeks ago demolished by Clemson. Clemson covered that spread. Remember we talked about it. I was like, they're not begging you to take Clemson, right? They're begging you to take Miami. They're begging you to take Miami in those 15 points. Clemson rolled them. Virginia coming off two big losses. They lost by back-to-back games. They lost one to Wake. It was on the road, but it was to Wake Forest. And then the second one was at home against NC State. They lost both games by 17 points.
Really? Okay.
Right? So they're coming off 2 losses back-to-back, 17 points. You got Miami after the Clemson loss. Was favored by, I believe, 11 against Pittsburgh. Covered the spread, right? They won by 12. You could have middled that game because I believe Miami opened up -10. line closed -12, so you literally could have middled that game if you wanted to. Virginia coming in after 2 big losses. Miami at home, right? Miami's at home. Virginia opened up. Miami only opened up, -10, which kind of that one really jumped out of the page onto me. I would honestly, I would take Virginia plus the 12.5 on the road versus Miami. I think it's a closer game. Virginia always seems to give Miami fits for whatever reason, and they've actually beaten Miami, I believe, in the last 2 years. It was a home game, but Virginia on the road after two losses in a row by 17, one at home, one away, will cover that spread against Miami plus 12.5.
So they're plus 12.5 at home against Miami. You think they lose?
No. Miami's at home.
Miami's at home, but you still so Miami covers the.
Miami's gonna win. I don't think
they don't cover the 12.5.
I don't think they're gonna cover that 12.5. For them to open up at 10.5, I think Miami's
an overreaction.
I think it's I don't want to say it's an overreaction because they've had a game in between the Clemson game. If it was the game right after the Clemson, you'd be like, yeah, Miami's gonna come out, they're gonna smack, and they want to make up for the show that they put on versus Clemson, for the performance, that they put on versus Clemson. But they had a game in between. Pittsburgh, they couldn't really run away with it against Pittsburgh, but for whatever reason, for Virginia losing 2 games in a row by 17 points, one at home, one away, I think Miami should be favored by possibly, I'd say 13.5, 14 points at home, and for them to only open up at 10.5, I think it's begging you to take Miami.
There you go, the opening line with Rob G. Cool little quick fun segment. We're going to continue to do that moving forward. Now, if there's any games that maybe you guys see or that you think about, feel free to reach out to us on our Facebook, on our Twitter, DM us, let us know. Maybe Rob will look into it. Maybe he'll talk about it on the show. If not, you want to email us your thoughts, your comments, or anything you might want to talk about. straightbetsports@outlook.com. Very easy. Not only that, I want to throw it out there to you guys. If anyone looking for some sponsorship or anything you want to do, you own a small business, you want to promote, you want to get your name out there, hit us up as well. straightbetsports@outlook.com. We'll definitely respond to your emails and get something set up with you as well. So, Rob, moving forward, let's get into our bread and butter, what we like to talk about right now during the NFL season. Obviously, we always save the best for last. We got an extra 30 minutes tonight. Once again, like I said, thanks to Brian Alamano, the American Outlaws, Las Vegas Outlaws. Awesome that we got them because we need a little bit more time. We got
we'll be off there. We'll be cutting.
We'll be done right now. Okay, my pick is see you.
Yep. Have a nice day. Big James on the board. Have a nice day.
All right, man. Let's move on, though. We got a lot of trash games again like last week, so a couple of these we're going to move through. First one, Giants versus Eagles.
Is that the Thursday night game?
This is the Thursday night game, correct. Giants versus Eagles. We have a divisional game here. Obviously, 2 teams trying to get that number 1 spot here because 2 wins gets you first place with the Dallas Cowboys currently being at 2-4. 71% of the money here on a Wednesday night on the Eagles at -4. Majority of books, MGM, Caesars, William & Hill, Hilton, and Stations all have them at 4.5. Over and under is 45. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the total in this game whatsoever. But I'm sorry, I don't like the sides on either of this game, but I kind of like the total.
What do you got?
Who do I have winning this game?
No, but what line do you have right now?
4.5 over 45.
Okay, I got it too. Same.
I'll take the over in this game. I don't like either side. It's a coin flip, I think. The Giants showed me enough in their first win that they can possibly still come out and do something, especially against an Eagles defense that does not look great at all whatsoever. Carson Wentz is basically playing himself out of a job pretty soon here, it looks like.
I have to give him some credit, though. I'll be honest with you. What he's dealing with in Philadelphia right now, I mean, with the receivers and the offense that he has right now, he in that game against the Ravens, I'm not. There you go. You got your West Coast Wednesday music.
Thank you.
There you go. Turn up just a little. No, you got it. Perfect. But what he did against the Ravens, I mean, the Ravens pretty much covered that entire. We're about to cover that, so. R.I.P. if you bet the Ravens last week. R.I.P. because they were covering that spread, and Carson Wentz literally willed his team to lose that. I mean, they were a 2-point conversion away from tying that game.
So what you got?
Line opened up -6.5 on the Eagles, dropped to 4.5 after that game.
So here, okay,
it's a tough call.
So let's talk about this real quick.
Go ahead.
Before you give me what you got, because you know I like to look at money and where the stuff moves.
Oh, yeah, because you got it in front of you. I don't have it in front of me.
You just said that it opened up Eagles -6.
Correct.
The line is now down to 4.5. What would that tell you? That everyone's betting the Giants, correct? Normally, that's how the books adjust lines.
Well, remember, these are 2 weeks. These are 2 weeks in advance.
But still, though, if there's 71% of the money on the Eagles, why did the line move down on 1.5?
Because it opened 6.5 before the game of Ravens. Now, don't get me wrong, the Ravens were 10, double-digit faves on the road in Philadelphia. So, for it to move that way, I mean, Ravens were expected to win that game anyways. But for it to go to 4.5, I mean, the Giants won by 1 point thanks to a 2-point conversion that failed against the Redskins, against the Washington football team. I would take the Eagles. I mean, I really don't have a play on that, but if you
so we're not talking points. You just think the Eagles win the game.
Eagles win the game, yeah.
Right. Browns Bengals. Baker Mayfield got benched last week. Coach said it was not due to his play. It was the fact that the game was out of reach. He wanted to cause any injury or anything else. Kind of like the Jimmy Garoppolo situation a few weeks ago with the Niners. First game back, they benched him. Not because he was bad, just the game was out of reach. Didn't want to cause any injury. But if we're being real here and you're looking at Baker Mayfield's stats, he's in the bottom 25 when it comes to quarterbacks, overall statistics. He's not doing enough. So don't let the 4-2 record fool you. Sorry, Cowboy fans and Browns fans. Don't let the big win against Dallas fool you. This game, to me, is a trap game, and here's why. You have a team in the Cleveland Browns which is trying to figure out their identity. You have people in the media that are screaming and yelling and telling Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham to ask for a trade after the last loss that they had, which to me it's ridiculous. It's still too early. You're still 4-2. Everyone, money-wise, right now on a Wednesday, 64% is on the Browns at 3.5. Some places have it at 3. Call me crazy. I've seen enough in Joe Burrow and what they've done so far that I can see them pulling off this upset and winning. Not only covering this game, but winning this game. And only because it's at home. Only because it's at home. I don't have enough trust in the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield and that offense to be consistent and come out and win this game. With that being said, I'm just taking the Bengals. That's not one of my picks. We're just going through these. I like the Bengals winning this game.
I like the Browns. I hate to say it. Against everything you just said, I think I would take the Browns. I mean, Baker, yeah, he got benched last week. The Bengals put up, I think this is a little bit of an overreaction on both sides, right? Got benched against the Steelers. Bengals come out and should have beaten the Colts. They were up, 21-0 against the Colts. And
looking great in that first half.
Imagine if you had that money line. Geez, what a ticket to have. Looking great against the Colts, who are supposedly have one of the top defenses, if not the top defense, statistically in the league, and lost, I believe, by 4 points because Burrow threw a pick on the final drive as they were marching down to possibly win that game. He throws a pick. With that being said, just what the last thing people remember on paper is that the Browns got smashed. The Bengals did way better than expected. Yes, I said last week that the Bengals were coming down to earth a little bit because they played well to begin the season. I would lay the points with the 3.5. I in this situation, I always like to ask myself, who are they begging you to take, right? And after last week, I think they're begging you to take the Bengals. Give me the 3, not only the 3, but you're going to add the hook. I'll take the 3.5. So, with that being said, I'll take the Browns.
So last week, I said something that someone criticized the crap out of me the last couple days.
Yes.
And he's like, Cowboys, huh? Looking great, yeah. Plug and play, perfect system.
Right. Yeah.
So Rob wanted to grill me about that because I said that.
No, what I wanted like James plays, like the starting lineup for the Lakers.
So James wanted James to play the audio of me saying how Andy Dalton was a plug-and-play quarterback, how it was going to work out. After
Imagine if they go to the championship game.
1 week of practice under his belt.
Yeah, this is the type of quarterback McCarthy needs.
So I'm going to say it again. The Cowboys are going to win this game. It's at a pick-em. It's not my pick of the week. But here's the thing. First of all you Twitter trolls, Facebook people, and everyone that's just – I'm not a Cowboy fan, so I don't care. But people that are out there that were just grilling and talking crap about the Cowboys and their fans. This is pathetic. This is this. You guys are trash, blah, 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 blah. Okay, first of all, I didn't hear anyone talking about Zeke fumbling the ball. That was one. All I heard about was how bad the Cowboys were, but no one talked about, Zeke. Everyone talking about, oh, Andy Dalton, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I bet you the Cowboys wish they had Dak back. Another thing you're not talking about, the Cowboys had injuries galore on that offensive line.
You weren't talking about that either, though.
But what I'm saying is, it's easy for people to grill this team and talk crap about something when they don't talk about everything else that's happening in the game. So you're telling me that the 2 fumbles that Zeke Elliott had were Andy Dalton's fault? You're telling me that the 2 rookies that they started on the offensive line that have no experience are Andy Dalton's fault? No. And then for some of these players that are supposedly coming out complaining, saying that the coaching staff is trash and doesn't know what they're doing and has no idea how to do their job.
That's wrong.
That's wrong and ridiculous. After one game, and not only that, you're still in first place. So what the hell are you guys complaining about?
I think Andy could have played better, though. That was a horrible game through and through.
I think he did as good as he could have done for that first game, knowing the circumstances and especially with everything that happened. I think Zeke doesn't fumble and lose those fumbles in that game. We're talking about a whole different game here, a whole different scenario, whole different thing. Now, we know what the Redskins are, what the Washington football team is and isn't. It looks like they're going to start Allen again, the guy that was interception prone in Carolina, doing the same thing here in Washington now because his ex-coach wants to keep him. We might see Alex Smith again. We still have a kid that's holding a clipboard at home, which should still be the starting quarterback on this team. But
I feel like Arizona played really well. I mean, it's not like those 2 fumbles caused,
Kyler Murray only completed 9 passes in that game.
Right, but it's not like...
I mean, come on. He did. It's not like he did.
Understand, though, that one of them was an 80-yard touchdown pass.
Of course.
So there was... I mean, you got to give credit to Arizona when it's due.
No, of course.
But it's not like those turnovers gave... or those... I mean, honestly, even those interceptions that Andy Dalton, threw...
But they're game changers, though.
Right,
Momentum,
they're game changers, but it's not like...
mentality, everything.
It's not... It's not like they, as many turnovers as they had. It's not like they just handed the ball to Arizona on like the 5-yard line and was like, "Hey, just score." No, like Arizona had. Yes, there were some turnovers, maybe at the 40 or the 50, but I mean, still, Arizona had to earn those points, and they were able to, turn those turnovers into points, convert those turnovers into points. But yeah, it wasn't. Zeke's fumbles were bad, obviously, and they weren't. They were game changers. But Arizona, took advantage of the situation, and they had some pretty nice drives in that game.
So who you got? So we can move on.
I feel like I would take so Cowboys open -3 before that performance, right? So we all know Andy Dalton starting. We all know, the rookies. The whole, what's going on with their roster. Line opens up. Cowboys -3. It's down to a pick 'em after that, and then. After the game on Monday night, I always feel like people are going to bet the Cowboys no matter what the spread is. They're just one of those 10 teams in sports, across all sports. I would take the Redskins and the pick.
The Redskins and
I'm sorry, the Washington football team. I keep saying it. The Washington football team and the pick.
I think we all keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right, so... We got about 25 minutes, give or take here.
Did you hear that they're keeping that name? They're going to keep that name possibly
for
next
year. Yeah,
because it takes up to 2 years to actually get, all the trademark, all that stuff.
No saben lo que están haciendo. I have no idea. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. It just came to me. All right, moving on. We have a game here, which I think this is an interesting game.
This is a very interesting game.
You have a team in the Atlanta Falcons, which got their first win of the season, which was Rob's pick. We're going to talk about that later on the show.
Yes, sir.
I liked the Falcons last week, too. I said I thought that they would win, especially after firing Dan Quinn. But then you also have a Lions team, which is 2-3. Not that bad overall. The line is 2.5 at home for the Falcons. 70% of the money right now currently on a Wednesday on the Detroit Lions.
You have 2.5?
I have 2.5 everywhere. Caesars, William & Hill, Stations, MGM.
I have 56.5 total.
I got 55.
Okay, I'll open 56.5. I have 55 now. You're correct. But I have a -1 on Falcons, and I currently have -1 on Falcons.
I'll give it to you straight and easy. I like what the Falcons did last week. They looked a lot more confident, a lot more smooth overall. Still some things to work on, but a coaching change can do that for you. Give me the Falcons. I think they cover the 2.5. I can see them winning by a field goal. But it's going to be a close game. I think the Lions will come out early in this. Don't get me wrong. I don't see a blowout. I don't see the Falcons running away with it. I think they win by a field goal, like I said, but I think it'll be a great game to watch. Don't let the records fool you.
I could see this being a high-scoring game.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a tough game to
handicap.
To handicap on the spread side. But I think you're right. I think the Falcons have nothing to play for, really. I mean, they're 1-5. Yes, the division. I mean, who's leading that division? Let's see. We got the Bucks 4-2, Saints 3-2, and you got the Panthers 3-3. So I mean, there's still life, right? There's still life. They're 1-5. And then
it's not the end of the world.
There's still life for the Lions as well. Excuse me, 2-3. You got the Bears at 5-1 and the Packers at 4-1. There's still life for both of these teams, but I think Falcons will put it together back to back. New coach, like you just mentioned. I'm leaning towards the Falcons, but I mean nothing.
So Falcons,
nothing
worth
betting.
Falcons.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. -1 Falcons win the game.
So here's another game. Sticking to that division, the NFC South, I believe it is. Am I right here?
Yeah, that's it.
You have a Carolina Panthers team which is 3-3. Let's be honest, not too many people expecting them to be there at that position. I'm pretty sure you didn't think that they would be 3-3 right now. Got to give credit to Matt Rule, doing a good coaching job there in his first year so far.
Teddy Two Gloves.
Ever
since Jimbo said that. Ever since Jimbo said Teddy Two Gloves, I can't stop saying it every week.
Teddy Two Gloves without Christian McCaffrey. You know, more wide receiver coming up big for that Carolina Panther team as well.
Yep.
Saints are 3-2 here at home. I think this is a tough situation because they're opening this line at 7.5.
I got 6.5, but okay.
It's kind of high. Thursday night, Wednesday night here, 74% of the money is on the Saints. They're not showing any respect to the Carolina Panthers here in this game. The Saints have not really looked as good as a 3-2 record or as a 7.5-point favorite right now against anyone, in my opinion, this year.
When Drew Brees is off, he's off.
Now, here's the thing, though. Michael Thomas is coming back from his suspension. It was announced that he will be playing tomorrow or Sunday. This is, if I'm gonna bet this game, which I know I am, but I'm not gonna give you as my pick. But if I'm gonna bet this game, I'm not betting a side. I'm probably taking the over at 50.
You're taking the over because you take overs in every morning game.
Well, so that too.
If it's a morning game, it's going
right. But I'm just saying, if we're giving out our advice here, I think the Saints win the game. I think it's gonna be tough. I don't see a runaway. I think 7.5 is way too much. But if I'm gonna bet this, I like the over at 51.
As tough as
Saints win the game. We're talking about who's going to win. Saints win the game. We also talk spreads, obviously, but
they're not begging you to take the Saints in this situation.
No, I agree. I think
they're begging you to take the +9. So when I have that feeling, I just go opposite. So I would definitely I'm looking Saints -9.
All right, Bills Jets moving on. Jets lose this game. Next game Packers and no, I'm just kidding.
Stop. I actually have some. This game is actually pretty interesting.
So 13 in some places, 13.5 in others. Bills coming off 2 straight losses.
Yep.
Josh Allen has not looked like Josh Allen of the first 4 games of the season.
Against 2 good teams, though. It's not like they lost. It's not like they,
Granted, I agree. But the thing is, if you're going to be great and you're supposed to be the guy that takes over this division, you need to look better against those good teams.
Correct.
But still, the Jets are a dumpster fire, 0-6. After 0-4, I don't know how they did not fire Adam Gase. You traded away Le'Veon Bell after that experiment didn't work. Not only that, Lawrence from the Clemson Tigers literally came out, don't quote me, but it was something like, you think I'm trying and hoping that trash team
Did he officially say that? Yes. I thought people were trying to speak for him when they were like, "Hey, if I was Trevor Lawrence,
I saw it in 4 different social media platforms.
I would come back. I would play another year at Clemson just to avoid that. Just to avoid that. I don't
blame him. I wouldn't want to play for the Jets, even if they offered me $1 million contract right now. That'd be embarrassing.
Stop. You would take the $1 million.
No, I know I would take the $1 million. I'm just overreacting. But seriously, moving on quick on this game.
No, I'm not moving on quick from this game. I'm not moving on quick.
Okay, so tell me then. If you're not moving on, you're seeing something I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Is so Bills obviously open up -10 before they played the Chiefs. Chiefs were favored in that game, so Chiefs were expected to win that game. Bills lost to 2 great teams back to back, right? You lose to the Titans, and then you lose to the Chiefs. For the books to open up, I mean, the Jets didn't score 1 point last week. They got donut. 20 was it 24-0? Was it 20? I believe it was 24-0 against Miami, right?
The Jets, yes.
You're playing Miami,
and then their starting quarterback got benched.
Yeah, you're talking about Miami. You're talking about practice. You're talking about Miami here, right? You're expected to put up at least some points on Miami. They scored 0 points against Miami, and the book before that game hung Bills -10, and you think the Bills are going to come back? Yes, they're on the road, but it is the Jets. right? It is in division. They open up -10, and the only adjustment after last week, you figured the Bills are going to come in, wanting a big win. They've already beat the Jets this year to start the season. Remember, they already beat the Bills. They already beat the Jets by more than 10. They already beat them by more than 10 at home, and the only adjustment is 3 points. I mean, you have, and I think even to make a point is next week's game, right? Next week's lines have already come out. The Chiefs, I don't know if you've seen this, Jose. The Chiefs are -22 against the Jets. They are -20.
Might as well make it -30.
It can be anything, right? I think at this point, with the Jets being 0-6, them putting up a donut last week against the Dolphins, everyone is going to line up to take the Bills, especially when you're going to give them under 2 touchdowns.
So we've seen take the Jets?
I'm saying take the Jets. I say you gotta, you gotta pick and choose your spots here. And especially with the Jets. And it hurts me to say that, but I think with the way that this line is, Bills -10, they're willing to open. Like, hey, I'm gonna open a business and I'm gonna say the Bills are favored by 10, and I'll let the public come in and bet as much as they want. Go ahead. Ready, set, go. Right?
So you got the Jets.
I would take the Jets plus the 13. I would most likely say wait, because I could possibly see you getting 13.5, maybe even 14. But I think you got to pick and choose your spots with teams that are, this bad. And I think this is one of those spots because in people's minds, I mean, the Bills are 4-2, but they're still a great team in some people's minds. And the Jets are just a straight dumpster fire. And for them to only be laying 13, really kind of, it's kind of mind-boggling to me because next week they're already plus 22, right? So for you to, Jets plus the 13.
Jets. Anyways, moving on. We got about 7 games left, 15 minutes here. I think we can pretty much break them down.
There's some we can roll through.
We got our game of the week on here too, which to me we're gonna
What are you talking about? We talked about the Browns already. There's no game of the week. We talked about the Browns are your game of the week every week.
No, there's a game of the week. We have the 2 best teams in the NFL still left, but we're gonna talk about that later.
All right.
Packers, Texans. I think we can move by this one pretty quick here. Aaron Rodgers not looking good in this game against Tampa Bay. If you follow Aaron Rodgers recently, especially in the last couple of years, doesn't look good against great teams or winning teams. Look at what happened last year against San Francisco. Twice, I believe.
Yep. Bullied.
Didn't look good.
When they get really punched in the face, they
don't move forward. They keep moving backwards.
Yeah, they have no punch. They have no bite. And
now
that's
this game
exactly
is 3.5. Majority of places 3.5.
Open 3 up to 3.5.
Totals 57. Insane. These totals are so high just because there's everything. It's just crazy.
Up to 50. I have 56.5. So my take. I'll give you my take before you. Yeah. Okay, I'll take it. So last week I said there was 2 games that I said that the points would come into play. If you remember, Jose, I said the Giants and the football team, right? Washington came into play. Texans, Titans, the points should have come into play, except Romeo Crennel decided to go for a 2-point conversion instead of kicking a field goal to go up 8. Yes, the Titans came back and scored at the end of the game with 4 seconds left in the game, which was a great play. I watched pretty much the whole entire second half. But not taking the extra point and going for 2 cost them that game because, I mean, yes, they scored, but who's to say that they would have made the 2-point conversion, right? I don't know what type of decision. I think it was Rich Gannon, right? He's on CBS.
Oh, my God. He ripped them. I posted it on Twitter, so you guys follow me on Twitter.
That's where
Valente, check it out.
He pulled out the card on them, kind of like when the baseball players look at where to line up against a player. They have a card like that everyone carries, and it shows you when to go for 1 and when to go for 2.
But let me cut you off here. It's easy for anyone, you, me, James, anyone, to say that after the play didn't work and they lost. Just like in the Super Bowl. Why didn't you run Marshawn Lynch? Oh, yeah, it's easy to say it now because we saw the interception. But what if that pass would have worked and they would have scored and they win? That's what I'm saying. Me, honestly, Rich Gannon, I'm sorry. First of all, you were a dink and dunk quarterback your whole career. You weren't great. Yeah, you have a Super Bowl record because you threw 5 interceptions in a Super Bowl, which is awesome. I'm glad you did that. But aside from that, it's just a guy trying to get a little more recognition, trying to start something.
I don't think it was that.
I look at it this way. You're already up 7. You're trying to put the game out of reach and make it 9. You're basically saying I trust in my defense that they're not going to score a touchdown. I agree. And not only that, you're the Houston Texans. You have one game that you've won, and you have a interim coach. You have nothing to lose here. I like the decision. I'm sorry.
I disagree. Let me pull this up here, but yeah, I mean, you do have the Titans who are 5-0. They're in your division, so it wasn't in division game. So I can understand where you're coming from. But I would go up by 8, and I know you can't really trust your. If you're going for 2 at that point, it's almost like you don't trust your defense at that point either.
But here's the thing: if you're gonna go up by 8,
I'm good with that.
But here's the Titans can
got to score and get the 2-point conversion.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. You got to score and get an extra point. Regardless, they still have to tie the game. By you going for 2-point, you're saying, okay, you can still tie it regardless. I'm willing to take that, but I'm going to try to take this opportunity and take it from you.
But I guarantee the percentages on making an extra point versus converting a 2-point conversion
52% this season, 2-point conversion.
That's this season, but I'm talking
exactly,
overall.
But we're talking about this season. It happened this season.
Anyways, I still disagree with you.
But see, that's
the
good.
spread.
That's
so what I was saying, the spread should have come into play. Like I mentioned, I said the spread's going to come into play in that game, which it should have. It should have. With this game here, I think the Texans. I think 3.5 at home versus the Texans is a little bit too much to pass up. I would take the Texans plus the 3.5.
All right, there we go. Give me the Packers. I think they win.
Minus 3.5. You want to lay the hook too?
No, I think they win. I didn't say anything about covering.
Okay.
Moving on, Seattle and Arizona. We got to run here. We got 10 minutes,
yeah,
Rob.
Let's run.
So Seattle and Arizona, this is an interesting game. Seattle going in undefeated 5-0. 3.5 is the spread. 85% of the money is on Seattle here on a Wednesday night so far. I'm going to make it short and sweet. I like what Arizona's doing. I like the mind of Cliff Kingsbury.
Yep.
I like that team. I think they pull off the upset and give Seattle their first loss of the season.
I agree. I take the Cardinals plus a 3. These games are always pretty crazy too. I don't remember if you remember a couple years ago when they had like they each missed a field goal.
In general.
Yeah, it's a division game. I would take the Cardinals in 3. Maybe a game where the spread comes into play.
Okay.
Miss extra point here. Something happens.
Something crazy.
Safety, something crazy. But yeah, I would take the Cardinals in the points.
So here's another game that I have actually been looking at since last Sunday. Niners Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Niner fan.
Yeah.
I'm not. But the reason for my pick on this game is not because of my hatred for the Patriots. It's because of what the Niners are doing.
It's down to -2.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking at.
Opened up -5 again.
Over and under 43.5. Some places 44.
Yeah,
I like the over in that game. I can see that game going over. But after what I've seen and haven't seen from Cam and New England, and from what I have seen from the Niners with injuries without, I know Raheem Mostert is going to be out now for the next 2 to 3 weeks, they said.
I didn't hear that. But...
And yeah, well, in our fantasy league, some dude sent me a trade and gave me some players, and he wanted Mostert. I'm like, yeah, accept, done. He didn't even check it.
Thanks.
But anyways, I like the Niners in this game. I think they win this game outright. I think they go on the road and continue. I think they go up to 4-3. I just think that the coaching that Kyle Shanahan? Kyle Shanahan is doing, I think Jimmy G looks a lot more comfortable. It was just that game in New York, the turf, the injuries, all that. Give me the Niners.
I mean, at this point, I watched. Honestly, it was on I believe CBS. The entire Patriots game. I had a Patriots fan over to the house.
Kyle.
And, Kyle was at the house, and we watched pretty much that entire Patriots game. And Cam's mechanics just looked off.
Looks rusty.
It wasn't even rusty. It was just that the way that he was releasing the ball, it was like he was throwing like Colin Kaepernick darts. Like it wasn't even like he was trying to lob the ball. There was no arch or anything. It was just straight. Yeah, it was awkward. And he looked completely off. And Denver, winning the way that they won it was very obvious the way that he was throwing the ball. His mechanics were off. With that being said, the Niners are actually, last time I checked before the game, they were 30-1 to win the Super Bowl, which is kind of crazy to me, seeing, that they can have a big second half in the season. I would take the Niners.
One of the games that I like this week, Chiefs-Broncos. This line is currently sitting at 9.5. It's pretty evenly bet, 54% of the money here on a Wednesday.
10.5. I have -10.5.
Okay, 55% of the money here on a Wednesday is being bet on the Broncos, so pretty evenly matched. Nothing crazy so far. No one's really saying they think this, they think that. This game is interesting because it's a divisional game. You saw what the Broncos just did. Chiefs losing to the Raiders to get their first loss of the season.
I like the Chiefs.
I like the Broncos in this one.
Moving on. I like the Chiefs. Minus 10.5. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe possibly taking the hook. But for them to add a hook on certain specific numbers takes a lot of money.
And call me crazy.
So for them to add 7 outright?
Broncos win outright.
Ooh. All right.
Moving on, we got 3 games left here on Gorilla Cross Radio. This is another episode of Straight Bet Sports. I'm your host, Jose V. Rob G in front of me. James Mays behind the big board. Bucks Raiders. I'm going to tell you right now, I like the Raiders in this game. And it's not because we're being a homer, because we're here. I like the way they played against Kansas City. I think a week off helps them. I understand if you saw the article, they just sent their whole offensive line home due to COVID situation. That doesn't mean they're not going to play on Sunday. It's just concerns because of, what do they call it? The tracing? COVID tracing?
COVID tracing, yeah.
I like the Raiders in this game. If the line is 3.5. Some places have it at 4.
Wow.
75% of the money on the Bucks currently, as it should be, I think. I like the Raiders. I think they win outright.
Open -$2. That was before the demolishing of Packers, and then obviously the Raiders had the bye week, but they did look good against Kansas City. I'm just going to speak quickly on this game. I like the Buccaneers -3.5.
All right. So we got 2 games left, but I'm actually going to hold off on one of them, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the Monday night game right away.
You're going to skip Chargers-Jags? No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
I didn't even see that one on the board.
Oh, yeah, that's Chargers-Jags. You got Chargers-Jags, and you got Bears-Rams. But we can always skip the Bears.
Chargers-Jags didn't even come up on my screen.
Yeah, we can go Steelers-Titans. Let's go.
I think the Chargers beat the Jags. Let's leave it there. But Steelers-Titans we're going to save for last. The Monday night game is the Bears and the Rams. The Rams are at home 4-2, playing at SoFi against the Bears 5-1. When Nick Foles is going to play against one of his former teams, because he did play in LA during the Steve Fisher years. 71% of the money here on the Rams currently on a Wednesday night. The line sits at 6, Rob, 44.5. Some places have it at 45. I'm not sold on the Rams, but I'm not sold on the Bears either.
Either of them.
So this is a coin flip game for me. If anything, I would say take the total. Touch it, 45. Very doable with these 2 teams.
Under. I think that's going under.
Really? Okay.
I mean,
now if I had to pick a team to win, I say the Rams win. I don't know about covering that 6.
Open 47, down to 45.
I think the Rams win this game.
Okay, I'll take the under 45.
What about the not the point spread, just the team in general?
I think the Rams win.
Oh, we got a phone call.
Uh-oh.
Right towards the end of the show. All right, let's go.
How much time we got left?
We got a few minutes.
All right.
We got a caller on the line. Thank you for calling Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio. You're on the line with Jose V and Rob G. Who are we talking to tonight? Hello? Caller? You still on the line there? Caller. Did you hang up on us? No? All right. So, Rob, who wins?
I take...
Don't worry about the points. Just who wins.
I take the Rams.
All right.
Rams win.
So, the game of the week, like I said.
This is your game.
Steelers-Titans. You got, in my opinion, the 2 best teams in the NFL right now. You got to give credit where credit is due. Fitzpatrick, defensively for the Steelers, doing what he does, why they traded for him. You saw the big pick 6 last week against Baker Mayfield. But I'm sorry. I still think the Tennessee Titans are the best team in the NFL. You have the best running back right now, in my opinion, in the NFL, in Derrick Henry. Ran for over 200 yards last week, 94-yard run as well. You see what he's doing to defenders, throwing them on the ground like dummies. The line's only 1 right now.
Situationally, I think
68% of the money.
One of the best coaches as well. The Titans have what's that? Vrabel.
I like Tennessee -1. And since we're running out of time, I'll go ahead and throw it out there right now. This is my pick of the week. I'm taking Tennessee -1.
So your pick every week get called the game of the week. Is that?
No. But you have a game of the week. I have a game.
I know. Yeah, you said this is the game of the week here. So,
but the reason I say that it's a Sunday night game. Actually, it's not. It's a 10 a.m. game.
It's a 10 a.m. game. I just don't.
But you still have the.
It's a writing game, is what they. Yeah, it's a writing game. I would take the Steelers. Early money opened up. Titans -1.5 to open. Dropped immediately from what I'm looking at here on pregame, and I love early money because they're betting it before anybody does. While we're all sleeping, they're betting it, and I would take the Steelers.
There it is, man. We ran through everything. It worked out to a T. We got 1 minute left to give you.
I got my play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got 1 minute left to give us our plays.
Whew. You already gave yours.
But you give yours, and I'm going to explain what we got. So last week, I took them boys.
I don't
know what I was thinking. I thought that was going to be right. James, you got to smack me from time to time, bro.
Play the Price is Right when you lose. Play the Price is Right.
So that moved me to 2-4 on the year. Rob took the Falcons with their first win of the season. I like the Falcons. I should have jumped on that bandwagon. So Rob moves to 4-2 on the year.
Let's go, positive.
Like I said, if you guys been listening to the show, this guy's the better more than me. But anyways, I already told you guys who I like this week. My pick this week, I'm taking Tennessee -1 against the Steelers. Rob, who do you have for your pick of the week?
It's a tough call. I'm debating between college. It's early, right? We always talk about it's Wednesday. This is typically when I would not put my bets in. I don't wait till the last minute, but I definitely wait at least a day before. It's tough. I'm jumping between college and pro. There
is a light.
All right. So I'm because my play would be the Jets.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to come back next week and be like, I told you to take the Jets, right? I'm not going to take the Jets this time. I am going to take Virginia plus the 12.5. I believe it's still 12.5. Let me triple check because lines change all the time. Yeah, still 12.5. Probably it
Who
shows
they playing? Miami?
They're playing Miami.
Okay.
I would take Virginia plus the 12.5 on the road. Saturday game, 5 p.m. Yeah, I like Virginia.
There you go, man. Fun show. Just a few minutes here past our time, but actually not a few seconds.
We're past, huh?
Fun. 1 minute. We got
OT.
it.
Don't worry, James. I got you on the OT.
Sudden death overtime. But, man, good show. We had Sam Gordon on of the Las Vegas Review-Journal talking some Lomachenko, López, lightweight, top rank. Got a lot of fights coming up. Make sure you guys follow him. Fun stuff there. We talk Dodgers. We talk Tua, Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Rob G with his new segment, The Opening Line. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to bring you a lot more of that. Like I said, hit us up if you guys want to chime in on that as well.
Tennessee plus the points. And
Rob's got Virginia plus 12.5, and I have the Titans -1.5 for my pick. Great show. Thank you guys, everyone involved tonight. Big Jane Game Maze behind the big board, producing the show, doing what you do. Rob G, thank you for doing what you do as well, bro. Hanging out with me, chopping it up. Man, how do we end the show tonight? What should I say?
We should just end it with your audio clip about the Cowboys last week. I keep bringing it up, but we should just.
Oh man,
camera and all, just video. We got video of it. We got audio.
Okay, I got it.
Go ahead.
I posted something on social media the other day. I forgot exactly how it goes, but everyone got to where they want to be by starting where they're at right now. No one's going to start from the top. We all start from the bottom. Only thing that matters is how you grind, what you show, and what you're going to put out. At the end of the day, let everything else work itself out. Till then, I am Jose V. For Rob G, for James, for Gorilla Cross Radio. This has been another episode of Straight Bet Sports. We are out.
See ya.